The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have without a doubt won the 2020 NFL offseason. But the question is, are they done? And if they're not, who are they going to go after? I have one player that they should definitely target before the season starts, and I'm discussing him today, and it is Chris Hogan. So let's get into the video. So I basically only have one reason, and it's going to be a long reason, why the Buccaneers should get Chris Hogan, and it is the Brady Hogan connection, obviously from the 3 years spent in New England, and his stats in those 3 years were insane. 107 receptions, 1,651 receiving yards, and 171 targets, and obviously 12 touchdowns, which was huge for Chris after coming from Buffalo in a trade to the New England Patriots. He really just came on, and 7-Eleven was always open, and Brady loved Chris so much, and that's why I really think he would be a good fit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Brady, with this whole coronavirus stuff, Tom Brady doesn't really have time to get on the same page. Who knows how long this is going to last? And who knows if there'll be OTAs or if there'll be training camp or anything before the season starts. And he's going into a place where there's new receivers, and all he really has is Rob Gronkowski. So I think Chris Hogan would be big for Brady. Only 64 passes that were thrown at Hogan ended up being incomplete in 3 entire seasons. And I think that right now he is the closest thing to a Julian Edelman on the market. He's that security blanket for Tom Brady, and I think that Hogan to Tampa should be done as soon as possible. Tampa Bay needs to lock this guy up, and I think that predictions, he could honestly be the top receiver in Tampa Bay. If not, I think obviously you've got Chris Godwin there, you have Mike Evans there. I think that with that stacked receiving core, adding a guy like Chris Hogan doesn't hurt at all. Obviously, Hogan never played real college football. He was a walk-on to training camp with the Miami Dolphins, and he started his career in Florida. Why not go for one more run at it in Florida? If Brady is able to use Chris as well as he did in those 3 seasons, I think he can actually use him better, as Hogan was an outside receiver. That's the same as Evans is, and I believe Chris Godwin is also an outside receiver. There is no dead set slot receiver. But back in the run for Super Bowl 52, Chris ended up playing in the slot role for most of the season. It was between him and Danny Amendola that filled that role. And I think that, obviously, because Edelman was out. And I think that he's obviously a better deep threat, as he can absolutely tear up a defense when he's going deep. It's not even funny how fast this guy is, and I think he's obviously going to be able to connect with Tom the same way. But the real question is, can Chris stay healthy? Last season, he had quite the downfall in Carolina with the Panthers, and obviously it wasn't that pretty to add to his resume. After seeing those amazing seasons with the New England Patriots, and even his last season in Buffalo, catching from, I believe, Kyle Orton, he was playing well, and I think that Chris Hogan will be able to fill that role, and I think if he stays healthy, he could put up a good 500 or 600 yards and be one of those guys that Brady is already got chemistry with. One season off from each other, I think that Chris can play well for the Buccaneers, and that's basically why the Bucs should sign Chris Hogan. Let me know in the comments what you think the situation with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is. Will they go for another wide receiver, or will they prioritize running backs and offensive linemen? I personally think that if they get Chris Hogan, that's the last move that they make for receivers. They have Godwin, they have Evans, they just got Gronkowski, and adding Chris Hogan would be huge. And the only other place that I think we could see Hogan go would probably be the New York Giants. Joe Judge is there, and he's trying to build a new offense in New York and building around Daniel Jones. And plus, Hogan is from New York anyways. So that would be an interesting scenario, but I personally think he will be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.